Our guest today is a 26-year-old Nigerian, Yewande Ambeke, who opens up on how she stumbled on an activity that quickly turned into her life's passion.
I just started crying, and then I said to myself that, oh my God, I want to do this forever. I want to keep doing this. I want to do this.
In today's episode, she'll be talking to us about juggling being a pharmacist, a painter, a turning point in her life that nearly cost her job.
He looked at me like, is this woman? And then he said, what if you don't accept this? I said, this is my resignation letter.
Wow.
My childhood was very normal. I grew up, I'm the last born in a family of 7. And my parents had me very late. I think my mom was almost 40 when she had me. So I grew up alone. Not really alone per se, but my siblings were not always around. So it was just me. Just the fact that I didn't really have the presence of so many people around me made me this introverted person. Found it difficult to make friends. So I was always indoors. I didn't really do so much as a child. I didn't play so much as a child. I always played in my imaginations, And I guess that was what made me a very imaginative person.
Tell me, how did you come to choose pharmacy as a profession or a career path to choose?
It was very, very funny. Okay, first off, my dad is a pharmacist, but that had absolutely nothing to do with me wanting to study pharmacy. I remember when I wanted to, we do JAM here in Nigeria. Okay, of course, we do JAM in Nigeria. So you have to select the courses you want to do. So my older sister was going through the courses for me, and she was like, She went through the brochure and then she was like, okay, pharmacy. How does pharmacy sound? I was like, okay, pharmacy. What did they even do? I didn't even know what they did fully. All I knew was they knew about medications. I was like, okay, for you to create medications, you have to have a knowledge of chemistry. And I was like, oh, I actually like chemistry. Then like, okay, good. Then let's choose pharmacy. And that was it, really. Funny enough, I graduated with the first class.
So,
considering the fact that I had absolutely no idea what I was getting into, was really, really interesting. And it turned out to be a very great course, really. And yeah, I even got an award. It's called Bowl of Hygeia. It's like the highest award they give to a female student on outstanding leadership qualities and civic responsibility. Funny thing was, I didn't know that I had those qualities. I guess I'm very oblivious to a lot of things about myself. That when people tell me, I'm like, nah, that's a lie. I'm not that person.
You just said something around being oblivious to a number of things around you. Were you oblivious about your love for art as well?
The funny thing was, when I was cleaning up the house, I came across some old notebooks when I was in primary 2. And I saw that I was actually drawing my teacher. I saw scribbles and drawings. I was like, oh, so I'd actually been doing this right from when I was a kid and I actually didn't know. So I guess you could call it a form of being oblivious, yeah.
Okay.
Funny enough, I didn't decide to go into art because I felt I had a calling, again, like the pharmacy, but it was just a decision. I guess life is all about making decisions in those little moments, decisions that will impact your life forever. I really needed something to do. I just finished 5 years of medical school, and for the first time I had free time and I didn't know what to do with it. And I just realized that, oh, perhaps I should just draw. Again, it just came upon me, and perhaps I should just draw. And I started checking YouTube videos and looking for what materials to use and what not, and that was it. Oh my God, my first drawing was a mess. It was terrible. Oh my God, it was terrible. I'm remembering how I drew those things in my room. I remember I had to do that drawing when there was nobody around. Like, it was just me, because I didn't want to share my failures with people. So I closed the door, my roommates were not around, and then I took the picture and then I started drawing. When I finished, I hid it. I didn't show anybody. But it took a lot for me to keep going. the first couple of drawings after that was ridiculous as well. But I just kept pushing. And then the funny thing was, people would say, Yewande, your drawing is fine. And I'm like, can't you see? You know, like, what were they lying to me when they said this thing was good? But it was terrible.
Interesting. So how about funding this passion of yours in art? How did you go about funding it?
Well, about that, I was a student. I just finished school. I didn't have a job. I was still living on my parents' monthly, what do I call it now? Allowance. Yeah. And I had to take care of feeding and you know, I couldn't afford it, to be honest, because when I saw the prices, I think it was getting close to like, I think 10,000 naira just for basic startup. And I think I was receiving 5,000 naira per month. How was that? Like, how was that supposed to even, like, how? So, I remember, I guess this is where the importance of talking to people, this is where it comes in. So, I spoke to someone about it. As simple as it sounds, it took a lot of me because I don't like asking people for stuff. But I guess the need for me to really do this was greater than my own personal fears of being vulnerable with people. So I went to meet my boss. So we had to do this, as pharmacy students, we had to do this work experience scheme, like an IT training in quotes. So I just completed mine. So I went to meet him, and he also happens to be a family friend. So I went to meet him and I told him that, oh, I would love to do this. I guess he saw the passion in what I was saying, but because I still don't know why he gave me that money, to be honest. But he was like, okay, this is how much it costs, no problem. And then he gave me the money and I was just looking at him like, for real? Seriously, you would do this? And then he said, yeah, that he likes it. And it was just very dramatic, not dramatic per se, but it was just, I was really caught unawares. And I learned a very important lesson then, that it's good to talk to people.
So where did you start to get that confidence? How did you start to build confidence, validation that led you into taking up art even further?
Confidence. I'm still working on it, to be honest. I still work on it every single day, with every single drawing I do, with every single painting I make. I still try to work on that confidence because it's not easy to create something. And with the type of personality that I have, I wouldn't call it perfectionism. I'll call it, I don't even know, maybe perfectionism. But when I look at other paintings, I'm like, wow, that is so amazing. How did they do that? And then I look at mine and I'm like, how does this even compare? But it's something I'm doing every day, trying to be less critical of myself and, you know, trying to appreciate what I do even more. When I started drawing, I loved the emotions on people's faces. That was what drew me to portraits anyways. So I liked being able to capture those emotions. And I wasn't even thinking about money or anything. I just wanted to capture those emotions and just document them in my own way. So I wanted to capture everything that's going on around me at the same time. So the use of colors afforded me that opportunity. So I was able to use bright colors or dull colors or, you know, muted tones to express how I feel. And it was really beautiful. And for the first time, I didn't have any anxiety about the future or the present because I tend to overthink a lot of things. And I just liked it, you know? It's just that simple. So I liked how I feel when I paint. I liked how I feel when I draw rather. I liked it so much that I was like, okay, this is actually really good. And that was how it became a hobby.
So, Yewande, tell me about the emotional framing of your first work.
Okay, so it was the first colorful paintings I had done, and I got a call, or rather a message from a curator saying that they wanted to exhibit those pieces. So of course, I was very excited. So I went to frame them, and there's a difference between you seeing something you have created, in your room or in a very private place, and then you seeing it being beautified. It's like wearing makeup. And when I saw how it looked like when it was framed, how beautiful it was beautiful before, but it became even more beautiful. When I saw how it looked, I just started crying. And then I said to myself that, oh my god, I want to do this forever. I want to keep doing this. I want to do this.
How have you been able to juggle being that artist whose work is untouched by the troubles of this world and being able to not be broke?
I work. I'm still practicing pharmacy.
Okay.
Because I need the money. I need the steady flow. The thing with art is it's tricky, yeah? Especially for an artist who doesn't have any gallery representation yet. So you're the one in charge of your creative activities, you're the one in charge of your marketing, you're the one in charge of sourcing for exhibitions. It's a whole lot of mental work. And then there's also the fact that these are the things you want to create, and then you have to look for a market for them. So it's tricky. 1 minute you can sell paintings and you have a lot of money, next minute it's gone, and you're wondering when the next show will come. So I didn't want to be disturbed by highs and lows of all that. So I still work as a pharmacist, which is not easy because pharmacy is a very, very demanding profession. You work like 12 hours. Okay, some people do 12 hours. I don't do 12 hours. I work a 10-hour shift. Okay. And I work in a hospital. So I decided to make a decision that I was going to do pharmacy part-time and do art part-time. So now both of them.
That is a big decision, isn't it?
It was, because for someone like me who is very, I told you I overthink a lot of things, I analyze a lot of things, and for someone like me to have that level of courage to do that, it took a lot. I had been thinking about it for months. During the lockdown, lockdown brought a lot of time for me, and I knew how many paintings I created during lockdown, and I liked that how I felt. Although reality check came in, funds were going down, so I needed a job. but when I got the job and I saw how demanding it was like I wanted to go back to that COVID lockdown period. But I wanted to have money coming in on a steady so I could create art, because you need money to buy art materials, and that's not exactly cheap. So I needed that steady source of money coming in. So that was why I went back to work as a pharmacist. But when I realized that my art was suffering and I was having that empty feeling inside, I finally got up courage. I remember I went to work that day. I had my resignation letter in my hand. And I went to meet the HR, who also happens to be the head of admin. And then I told him that, okay, so for the next couple of months, I want to come to work 3 times a week with no weekends. And I just want to work 3 times a week. And then he asked me why. What other thing do I have another job? I said I don't have another job waiting for me. But I'm an artist and I want to paint. I want to create pieces of art. And he looked at me like, because we're in Nigeria for the sake, yeah? Yeah. You get that reality check. He looked at me like, is this one mad? Sorry.
That is very brave.
He looked at me like, is this one mad? And then he said, what if you don't accept this? I said, this is my resignation letter.
Wow.
And he looked at me. And then he said, we'll give it some thought. To be honest, I prayed a lot before I went to meet him. I prayed a lot. So when he said we would consider it and there's no problem, he went to meet the owner, the ED, the executive director of the hospital, and then we spoke, and then he brought me in, and then I explained everything to him. And then he said, Didi was like, okay, no problem, I should write a letter, I should select what days I want to come to work. And that was it. And that was actually it. I was really surprised. So I'm still doing the 3 days a week stuff. Going to work 3 days a week. So it brings in at least a steady money. It came at a sacrifice because I had a pay cut.
Yes.
But it was, to me, it was worth it. I guess sometimes in life you just have to decide that this is what I want to do, and you just have to go for it. But trust me, it's not easy.
Well done, well done. So is there support in the art community in terms of funding that you have access to?
Okay, yeah, there's support, definitely. There are grants, there are residencies you can apply for. I was a part of that last year. So the residency affords you time to be able to create pieces of art, and some of them are fully funded. Some of them you would have to probably pay for some things. But yeah, they're available in Nigeria.